It's kind of one of those ideas that you think, you have them sometimes and you think, oh, someone's done that, obviously, because that's so brilliant. Why wouldn't they have done? So I can't remember what the catalyst was. It was something that I read about another Dickens adaptation or something. And I thought, I've seen that about 11 times. So why, Dickens got any new material that I could adapt, or is there something else? Because his characters are amazing. And I thought, well, it'd be really fun if you just mix them all up. My kids would call it a mashup. Let's do a Dickens mashup. And I thought, oh, someone's done that. And I forgot about it for a few days. And then I said to someone, and they said, well, I haven't seen anything. So we researched. Nobody had done it. Nobody had ever taken those quite brilliant, iconic characters and put them together. Even Dickens himself never wrote a scene between Scrooge and Fagin. And I did that. I'm not using the books in any way. There's nothing about Dickensian is about adaptations. You don't need to have watched any adaptations. You don't need to have read any books. You can come Dickens as a Dickens virgin. It still works. Basically, it's Victorian London. It's the best characters ever in Victorian London because they come from Charles Dickens, and they're all mixed together. And it's new stories, some prequels to some of Dickens' stories. As an example, everybody knows the image of Miss Havisham, the woman that was jilted on her wedding day, that now, all these years later, is sitting at a table, still wearing the veil, broken-hearted, and it's an image that we've all had, and we've all seen different versions of that. We've seen it with Helena Bonham Carter, we've seen it with Gillian Anderson, but nobody's ever said, well, hang on a minute, how did she get to be that woman? So I thought one of the interesting things we could do with Dickensian is that's the story we could tell. So we could tell the story of a young Miss Havisham. So now we have Tuppence Middleton, who's amazing in this, as our young Miss Havisham, and we see what happens to her and how she comes to be Crazy Woman, or whether she gets married and lives happily ever after, because that's the thing with Dickensian. There are no rules. You do your favourites, don't you? Isn't that what you do? And the other thing was, I want to share these stories. I want to share things with people. And I know that one of my favourite Dickens adaptations is Muppets Christmas Carol. It's amazing. Kermit as Bob Cratchit. That's fantastic. So I had to do Scrooge, and I've got Kermit. I've got a talented actor called Robert Wilford, who's my Bob Cratchit. But I wanted to do that story because everybody knows that. So that's a frame of reference that everybody would understand. So everybody, the world over, they may know nothing about Dickens, but they've heard of Ebenezer Scrooge. So he was kind of first on the list. Then I think everybody knows Oliver Twist and Fagin, Bill Sikes and Nancy, so they're classic characters. So they were the second. And then I found a few obscure characters that people might not know. People like Mrs. Gamp from our mutual friend, or Martin Chuzzlewit. So even I don't know where they come from. Played beautifully by Pauline Collins. And just mix them all up, and one story has an effect on the other. Characters cross over, and it's in the end it just becomes a celebration of Dickens' work rather than a retelling of stories we already know. I wanted it to be accessible to everybody, so I wanted it to be a show that because I know some people see Charles Dickens and they go, oh, it's not really for me. I always write for a popular audience. All my shows are for big popular audiences. The shows at Red Planet Mail, like Death in Paradise, are for big, broad audiences. So this is a show for them. This is just the joy of being able to see those characters in a different setting, and you don't need to know anything about Charles Dickens. One of the biggest things with Dickens straight away was trying to build the world, because Dickens used, certainly if you read some of his books or even see some of the adaptations, things like night and snow and mist and fog and pea soupers and all that stuff, they're all part of creating an atmosphere of Victorian London, and that's a world that people understand. But that's tough to shoot these days. Just shooting at night is tough, but trying to get snow and everything else is really difficult. So we created the world of Dickens. We created the world of Dickens' imagination in this amazing backlot set that we have, which has got 27 two-story buildings. It's got a church, it's got a stately home, it's got law buildings, cobbled streets, and it's all containable, so we can do whatever we want. We can make it snow, we can make it rain, we can have it night, day, whenever we like. So we've created a Victorian London that is probably closer to anything that you've seen before, because the shops that you go in off our street, they're real, and they're stocked in that way. So it feels like a real place.